Hello YouTube and welcome to Go Girl Gaming's coverage of the game Arche. On this channel I will be covering housing, farming, crafting, auction house usage, trading, and all related updates and features. In this video I will be covering crafting. In fact, this is going to be a series of videos because crafting is a huge part of this game. The first thing I want to cover with regard to crafting is where you craft. There are three places where you craft. The first are cities and towns, which is where I'm at now. As you can see here, there are several areas where you see crafting tables for crafting different types of things. The second place where you craft is in the crafting area of a housing province. All housing provinces have a crafting area. The only thing about housing provinces crafting areas is that they don't have all the crafting tables available in the game for your crafting. Housing provinces are basically focused on getting your house built, getting your house furnished, and getting your farm started and maintained. So things like the alchemy table, the printing press, the handicraft kiln are not available in housing provinces crafting areas. The third area where you can craft is your house. However, in order to do so, you will have to buy the design for the crafting table or tables that you want from Mirage Isle. They are bought for coin, not Gilda stars, and then you have to craft the item that you want and then place it in your house. That being said, let's begin to take a look at crafting. There are 18 professions available for you to explore in Arche. Some of these professions will have categories in which the next item in the chain will have to utilize, that is, cannibalize the previous item in the chain. I call this a tier, and I will point this out whenever it occurs. Also to note, I won't say most, but a lot of the crafting professions will have a specialty item that you can use to increase your proficiency in that craft. And again, I will point those out as we go along. So the first profession that I will cover is alchemy. Alchemy is an excellent profession for those who want to be heavy into crafting, as well as for those who aren't very interested in crafting, but are interested in, say, PvP. First up is the specialty alchemy goods. This is one of the items I was referring to that when you craft it will increase your proficiency in that crafting skill. All of them will have 2 items for you to craft. All of them will have a proficiency requirement to craft the first item of 10,000 and a proficiency requirement of 20,000 to craft the next item. All of them must be placed in a home. You cannot carry them around with you. Lastly, I do not know if the items stack, if the effect, that is, of the items stack. So that will be something that will have to be tested in game. If someone has already tested it in alpha, please feel free to leave a comment below. Next up is potions. This is a good item, or I should say subspecialty, to take up if you are a PvPer. Of course, it's a good subspecialty to have if you are a crafter, because you can sell the items on the auction house. Everything in here increases something, mostly related to fighting. The exception is Dahuta's bubble, and this allows you to breathe underwater for 45 minutes. So I suspect that this will be an excellent sale on the auction house. The only caveat is that it requires 20,000 proficiency, and it requires a sparkling shell dust, which reads to be a rare resource. An example, however, of a PvP potion is this one. It requires 70,000 proficiency. In fact, all of the potions require a proficiency, and some are quite steep. The lowest proficiency requirement is 20,000 for this group. But when you use it, it prevents XP loss caused by death once for an hour. So as you can see, this would be a handy thing to have as a PvPer. Some of these potions have ranks, as in there's a rank 1 and a rank 2, and this is one such potion. This is a rank 2 defense potion, and it will increase your physical defense by 1200 for 30 minutes. The next thing I want to cover are the 4 healing and mana subcategories. The minor mana and healing potions are what I call tiered, in that for the next item in the chain, you will have to cannibalize the previous item in order to make it, in addition to additional crafting materials. So as you can see, in order to create the Hush Star, which is the second tier in this chain of minor healing potions, you will have to cannibalize 10 veiled flames, additional medicinal powder, because it took medicinal powder to make the veiled flame, and the spice lavender. The same is true for the minor mana potions. As you can see here, to create the second in the chain, you will need to cannibalize the first one plus additional materials. Again, this is repeated in the healing and the mana potions, except that it starts with the very first one, where you are cannibalizing a minor healing potion, and for mana potions you are cannibalizing a minor mana potion. Note also that there is no proficiency requirement for the first 2 minor healing and mana potions, but there is a proficiency requirement for the first healing potion and the first mana potion. Next are the Luna Drops. These are items that you place on a piece of equipment to increase their statistics. The only catch with these is that you do not know what the specific increase is until after you unseal the item. All Luna Drops have a proficiency requirement to craft. There are 2 tiers. There is 1 tier of the Luna Drops. We'll just say 2 tiers. The first tier is the grand, and then the second tier is the rare. The rare requires the first tier in order to craft it. So in this case, the sealed rare fire Luna Drop requires the sealed grand fire Luna Drop in order to craft it. Next are the Luna Frost. Again, this is another item which increases a statistic. It's not a stat like the Luna Drops, so it's not strength or something like that, but it is something more lines. I'll just show you one. For example, the insightful Luna Frost will decrease your cast time by a certain percentage. The water drop will allow you to hold your breath. So there's another one of those hold your breath type things. The vigorous will increase your health regeneration. The vitals will increase your mana regeneration. And those are not tiered, but they do require, in some cases, some pretty substantial crafting mats. Substantial in the sense that a fine lunarite, I've never seen a fine lunarite in game, to be honest. And I know they're there, but I never ran into one. And the emerald is something that you have to get as a drop when you mine something. Talismans in Arche are not what you typically think of as a talisman. The first one is a coolant, and it really is a coolant. It cools the engines of an overheated vehicle. The next three, however, are resurrection items, but they don't resurrect a person or a pet. They resurrect a vehicle. The spoonful will resurrect a fishing boat, a clipper ship, tanks, and carts. The handful will resurrect sailboats and merchant ships, and the toolbox will do a variety of different vehicles. Whenever you use one of these items, it takes 10 minutes for it to take effect. These items sell well, or at least they did in alpha on the auction house. The coolant does not have a crafting proficiency in alchemy, but the other three do. Archeum. This is a breakdown. All these to say disintegration, you're basically breaking down something at a higher tier into something of a lower tier. So an essence is broken down into a crystal, is broken down into a shard. Let me back up. An essence is broken down into a crystal, so I said it right. Crystal into a shard, and a shard into dust. That's true for all of these. If you did not know, the archeum is used in crafting items. Sunlight is used to craft weapons. Moonlight to craft armor. Starlight to craft jewelry and other items. The blood archeum crystal breaks down into the blood archeum shard. And gilded stars, which is actually a form of currency, is broken into gilded dust. Again, all of it is to craft, you break it down to craft something that requires what's been broken down. The sea breeze essence is the exception in this group. It doesn't even require anything that's in this group, so I'm actually kind of surprised it's in the group. It is, however, used to craft many different items. Pigments, oils, and polishes. In my opinion, this is one of the best reasons to become an alchemist, because the pigments, oils, and polishes that you can craft here are, at least in alpha, were very heavily desired on the auction house. Some of them have exotic materials, which is what makes them expensive to produce, and therefore you can sell them for a high amount on the auction house. By exotic, I mean either you have to get a relatively rare drop in order to make it, or you have to take a trip over to the other side of the pond in order to get one of the pieces of the materials in order to make it. Some of the pigments, oils, or potions have a proficiency requirement, and some do not. Many of the these items require items from the aqua farms. For alchemy, this is another one of those breakdown type categories, only this time instead of breaking down archeum, you're breaking down lunarite into lesser components, and then the transformation one is actually taking two components and turning it into, which is why it says transformation, into in this case 30 lunarite, 30 lunarite. These next two are not about breaking down or transforming. They are actual items that you create in order to utilize in other crafts. That's the unstable solution and the wax nugget. Last in alchemy are the specialty dyes. Specialty dyes are used in crafting various things. Crafting the specialty dyes will require a fairly high proficiency in alchemy, which probably means they will sell very well on the auction house for people who like to dye things, such as the t-shirts that are sold in the game, probably the armor, because these are dyeing dyes, and then there's also a bleach. So probably make good sellers on the auction house. Some are also used in actually crafting items as well, such as the red dye for this elegant Harani tutoring cushion. That is all for alchemy. Thank you for watching, and please stay tuned for additional crafting videos. Don't forget to like and subscribe.